up your engine!
Well, if you want an electric car with range, they're just coming out with the 2021 Lucid Air electric vehicle that says it has a 517-mile range. You can go a long way. Unfortunately, it also has an extremely gigantic price tag. They start at $169,000. It does have over 1,000 horsepower, so it's very fast. It can go a long way, and they say that, well, for the new customers, since they just come up, you get 3 free years of recharging at Electrify America stations. That's that Volkswagen subsidy that's making an electric charging station. Well, let's just say what you mean by free electricity. You're paying $169,000 for the car, and the laugh of it all is, the last time I did research, even in cold Canada, they were saying that the average electric car is only going to cost you about $271 a year to recharge, so... Since the car costs $169,000, I really don't think that it's free. The electricity. But they do say they have fast chargers that they can gain 300 miles of driving range in 20 minutes of plugging in. Really high-tech stuff. Their battery packs are the same ones that they use in the electric vehicle motorsport Formula E racing. So these are proven motorsport electric batteries. They're well-made batteries. I mean, they better be for $169,000. And of course, it's very luxurious. It's got more room inside than a BMW. They're designing these things. There's no arguing that, but my God, who's going to pay $169,000 for their car? They're obviously just going for the ultra rich with these cars. They're not going for, regular guys. They say eventually they're going to sell cheaper ones and that they can, scale down the price, of course. Their idea of cheap and mine are two completely different things. I mean, they're saying that now they're going to have cheaper ones that'll be $139,000 and then a real cheap trim that's only $95,000. The price of a small house these days, but the race is on for luxury electric cars, I guess. I mean, they're only going to make a certain amount of them. That's obvious, and they'll probably sell them all. There's enough rich people in the world that if you make something that looks cool and goes fast with 1,000 horsepower, rich people are going to buy it. That's just the way that it goes. I mean, people sell those supercars for $3-4 million a piece. As long as you don't make too many of them, you're going to sell them. There's enough rich people in the world. But if you want one of the fastest, longest range cars, you can get a Lucid 2021, made in California, $169,000 electric car with free charging for 3 years. Here's yet another reason not to listen to J.D. Power. Here's their U.S. vehicle dependency study for 2020. Number 1, they make Genesis. 2 is Lexus. 3 is Buick. 4 is Porsche. 5 is Toyota. At least they stuck Toyota in there. But 6 is Volkswagen. And 7 is Lincoln. And 8 is BMW. I don't know who's paying them what money for this stuff. It's cobbled together nonsense of rating cars. And they talk about, well, repairs per 100, blah, blah, blah. They come up with the most ridiculous figures, and nobody knows where this data actually comes from. But to have the brass balls of putting some of those companies on there, like BMW, Volkswagen, in the top 10, it's just absurd. Don't ever listen to any of these companies. I mean, after all, J.D. Power is a marketing company. It's a giant advertising firm. And their surveys, who knows what's behind any of them? It's just nuts how they put these lists out. You might as well as just get a dart, throw it at a dartboard randomly with your eyes closed. And then the first one is number 1, the second one is number 2. Please don't read these things and put any salt into what they're saying. It's all nonsense. I mean, yeah, Toyota's in there, but they rate Genesis as number 1. Like I say, they're not bad cars, but as they age, I've showed the difference between a Genesis and a Lexus, that at 100,000 miles, the Genesis engine, the cam's already wearing out, where with the Lexus, they had 0 wear when I checked it with my scan tool. All my customers that bought Genesises, they liked them originally, but if they kept them 120, 1,000 miles or more, or if they bought them used with 100-something thousand miles, they weren't happy with them then because they did break down and were very expensive to repair. So any of these, this is the best car, what, now, for the moment, for 10 seconds? Don't listen to J.D. Powers. It's a bunch of nonsense. Listen to guys like me who've been working on cars their whole life. That'll tell you the truth about the matter. I have no ulterior motive than to tell people the truth so they'll watch my videos to learn the truth about cars. The only thing backing me is I want to tell people the truth about stuff. I don't have any ulterior motive. I'm not selling you a car. My whole thing is to tell you the truth so you buy the right car, and then when you do get a car and have a problem, as it wears out, I'll show you how to fix it correctly. I'm not going to give you some baloney list. The list that I give you when I say the 5 best cheap cars to buy is a real thing, not something made up. It's from me working on cars for 52 years. Sammy266 says, Scotty, between a 2016 Mustang V6 and a 2016 Lexus RC 300 all-wheel drive, both under 50,000 miles, what would you recommend for daily driving? I want something sporty that won't break down a lot. Definitely go for the Lexus. It's a much more quality-built vehicle. You're kind of comparing different vehicles when it comes down to it. A V6 Mustang, it looks sporty, but the V6 engine isn't all that sporty. And the Lexus would last probably 3 to 4 times as long and break down probably 5 or 6 times less than the Mustang were. They're not even comparable. But of course, the other side of the coin is you're going to be able to get the Mustang a heck of a lot cheaper than you're going to be able to get the Lexus. You'd pay a lot less for that Mustang than you will for the Lexus because of the quality difference. People know it, and their values are much higher. And Mustang resale values generally plummet down because they're mass-produced cars. With the V6, they're not popular. Everybody wants the V8, so you could get the Mustang a lot cheaper. There's no arguing that. DT387 says, Scotty, one time in 2007, a friend suggested me to buy a Chevy Aveo over a Toyota Corolla because of reliability. So later I bought the Aveo, and 4 months later, the tranny went out. Were these not well made? Yes, and if I were you, I would go back and say, please never give me advice about anything the rest of my life. It was one of the junkiest cars Chevy ever made. They made some junky cars over the ages, but that was one of the worst. Yeah, look, you bought it 4 months later, the transmission went out. The guy said they're more reliable than a Toyota Corolla. They are insane. Truthfully, the Toyota Corolla is probably the most reliable car of all time. They've sold over 30 million of them, and it's because they're reliable. You know, when I was a kid, Volkswagen Beetles were reliable. Tiny little engine in the back, air-cooled, cheap, easy to go around in, but their reliability was nothing compared to a Toyota Corolla. They could go 4, 5, 600,000 miles or more with just basic maintenance. Your friend was a fool, and unfortunately, you were a fool listening to him, so don't listen to him anymore. Mystic Ben 24 says, Scotty, I was thinking about why do some cars have gauges sweeping when you start them and they go back down? All right, guess what? It's a computer thing. Those are digital gauges. And just the way that they're set up, they're performing a test. They do a sweep test, and then the computer can see how the digital gauges are operating so that then they work correctly. It's a little test that it does. Just like some cars, when you start them up, they have ABS lights or other lights on, and then they go off because it's doing a test of the system, and then when the test passes, the light goes off. It's another one of those crazy computer things. Now, on the other hand, I've seen some cars that when they did break down, they'd start sweeping and doing crazy stuff. If your car originally didn't do that and now it does, it's having electrical problems. A lot of times ground failure, or the battery's getting weak, or the ignition system is starting to go out, especially if you see your digital clock loses time. That usually means your battery's starting to drain. But a lot of the cars these days are actually designed that way because they're doing a sweep test and then they settle down and work normal. If it always does that, that's fine. But if all of a sudden it started to do it and it didn't before, you got a problem. Well, here's some interesting information on electric car front, lithium batteries. Turns out that Australia has a whole bunch of lithium, and it's not the pollution creating one like they have in South America, where they're using the giant salt lakes and they're polluting all kinds of stuff because it's a liquid process. The Australians are doing ore and they're crushing it. And it's kind of ironic because, of course, electric power, electric batteries, and a green revolution. Well, this is being done by coal miners, and they feel kind of conflicted in Australia from what I've read, because everybody's against coal, burning coal. Well, it turns out that in the same areas they have lithium, and the people that used to mine coal are mining the lithium. One, of course, the green people complain about everything, so they complained that, oh, well, this guy was mining lithium, he's got coal mines too. Well, the guy who owns the coal mine says, yeah, I own coal mines, but it's mainly because I can't sell them. Nobody wants to buy them. The Australians have an awful lot of it in rock form that's just crushed. So the coal miners have no problem mining something like that because they're used to crushing rock. They crush coal, make it into a powder. They're going to do the same thing with the lithium, and they have an awful lot of it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.